Hello, welcome to BioGrades TV. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on the notification so you don't miss our next video. How political parties started in Liberia. Liberia has a very unique political history when compared to other African nations. While virtually all other African countries had to grapple with colonization by European powers, Liberia, since its founding in 1847, has always been ruled mainly by Africans. To put it correctly, they have been ruled by free black men from America whose ancestors had been taken as slaves from Africa. In 1817, Charles F. Mercer, an American politician from Virginia, and Robert Finley, a Presbyterian minister from New Jersey, founded the American Colonization Society, ACS. The ACS had as its goal to resettle free blacks who were willing into Africa, their ancestral homeland. So blacks who felt they would have a better life given the segregation and discrimination they were experiencing in America saw this as a new ray of hope. The first emigrants arrived in Liberia in about 1820. 4,571 blacks emigrated to Liberia between 1820 and 1843. However, indigenous African tribes already lived in the area. The new settlers became known as Americo-Liberians. Calls by the ACS to the American government to make Liberia its colony were unheeded. However, the American government opposed attempts by European powers to claim part of Liberia as their colony. With encouragement from the ACS, Liberia officially became an independent republic on the 26th of July, 1847, and Virginia-born Joseph Jenkins Roberts became the first president. He had earlier been appointed as the Governor of Liberia by the ACS board in 1841. A year later, in 1848, the first political party, the Republican Party, was formed. Later on in 1869, another party, the True Whig Party, was formed, and it acted as the opposition party. The Republican Party, which had the strong support of President Roberts, began to weaken soon after the president's death. It fell out of power in 1878 when Anthony W. Gardiner of the True Whig Party won the presidential elections. By 1899, the Republican Party had ceased to exist. From 1878 to 1980, Liberia was more or less a one-party state, even though other political parties were not officially outlawed. Until 1980, the political power of Liberia rested in the hands of the descendants of the African American settlers, even though they were the minority. The Americo-Liberian minority avoided mixing with the indigenous people and often married within their group alone. They were by far richer than the indigenous people, having established large plantations and other businesses. During the Second World War, thousands of indigenous Liberians migrated from the rural areas to the coastal and more urban regions in search of jobs. Though the Americo-Liberian dominated government opposed such migrations, they were unable to restrain it. While there had been hostilities between the local indigenes and the American-Liberians in the past, it grew even worse as the economic disparity between the two groups grew bigger and became more obvious. This would eventually end the Americo-Liberians and the True Whigs' political dominance. Samuel Canyon Doe, a local indigene and member of the Kran ethnic group and a master sergeant in the Liberian army, on the 12th of April 1980, led a coup d'etat against President Tolbert of Liberia. The coup was indeed bloody, leaving Tolbert and 26 of his supporters dead. 10 days later, 13 persons who served in Tolbert's cabinet were publicly executed. Doe established a military regime called the People's Redemption Council, PRC. In 1983, a draft constitution providing for a multi-party republic was issued. The draft was approved at a referendum in 1984. In the elections that held a year later, 9 political parties were ready to contest against those National Democratic Party of Liberia (NDPL). But finally, just 3 did, and though emerged winner under very controversial circumstances. Those governments had become increasingly unpopular and there were a lot of crises. In 1989, civil war broke out in Liberia with various rebel groups vying to take over power. One of such groups, the Independent National Patriotic Front of Liberia (INPFL), on the 9th of September 1990, ambushed President Doe and murdered him. This group had broken away from the National Patriotic Front of Liberia (NPFL), which was formed by Charles Taylor. After Doe's death, different parts of Liberia were controlled by various warring factions. Several international interventions for peace were made, and in 1997, elections were held and Charles Taylor of the National Patriotic Party was declared winner, with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, leader of the Unity Party, coming a distant second. However, peace was still a dream in Liberia. All through Taylor's regime, he had to fight insurgencies against his government. In August 2003, having been under strong local and international pressure, Charles Taylor resigned and left Liberia to Nigeria, where he was granted political asylum. An interim government took over until 2005, when elections were held. The Unity Party's candidate, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, who is of mixed Americo-Liberian and indigenous descent, emerged winner to become Africa's first female head of state. Legendary ex-footballer George Weah was at a very close second in the elections, where supporters had founded the Congress for Democratic Change (CDC) party in 2005. Ellen Johnson stayed for 2 terms in office and in the 2017 elections crossed party lines to support George Weah's presidential ambition. In the elections that followed, Weah emerged winner over the ruling party's candidate and incumbent vice president, Joseph Boakai. Weah was sworn in as president on the 22nd of January 2018. Liberia today has over 20 registered political parties. What have we missed out of this history? Let's know in the comment section. Will it be ridiculous to subscribe to our channel? If no, please like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel.